Have you ever wanted a mentor? Somebody that's going to teach you how to be a pro mascot? Well, other than me, of course, the best of the digital mascots. All jokes aside, these are some of the best of the best. These are the top 4 mascots that had a TED Talk. Yeah, a TED Talk. I mean this when I legitimately say these guys are the best of the best, so they deserve a TED Talk, and quite frankly, I don't. So I'm going to let these guys speak. Usually I interrupt between each one and say a little bit about each one, but I'm just going to let them be. Let them do their thing. Let them talk about it. They're amazing stories, so just enjoy. See you at the end of the video.
Can you imagine in your wildest of dreams that you suddenly are given a job that comes with a super suit that has a superpower? And that allows you to go out and deliver tons of happiness to millions and millions of people. And your only responsibility is to act crazy and have a good time. Well, that was my reality. And it's exactly what it was like to be the fanatic. But for those of you who are not familiar with the big green guy, it was exactly what it was like to be this. Now, this is the highlight of my athletic career. I caught a foul ball, and as the fanatic, I ate it. All right, let's hear it for the Philly Fanatic. As proclaimed by Sports Illustrated, the best mascot in all of sports. I cannot begin to tell you how amazing it was to be the fanatic, to get paid more money than I knew I was worth, and my job simply was to have fun. But that brought me to you today. Because I've got 4 lessons I learned in my 17-year career as being the fanatic, and they will help you tap into the power of fun and be happier now. And we're going to all do it just like I did it, by being the fanatic. Now, I took my first 3 lessons, and I distilled them down into an acronym, the F-U-N of fun. F is for the force of fun that we have right at our fingertips. I learned this first lesson from Mr. Bill Giles. He was my boss at the time, a former owner of the Philadelphia Phillies. And, the fanatic never would have been born. He never would have been created without the brilliance of Bill Giles. Me? I was just an intern. They asked me, would you do this? I said, yes, right away. I didn't even think about it because I wanted a job. And shortly thereafter, I realized, this isn't the best idea on paper, maybe. I'm being challenged to become a 300-pound green furry Muppet, and my job was to entertain the same fans that booed Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. That was a fact. I was there. So I was nervous. Philly said, David, just go to New York and get fitted for the costume. So I did. I came back, and due to some construction delays, that costume was delivered on the very first night that I was supposed to wear it in front of those notorious fans. So my nervousness had turned to panic. Nobody had told me what to do, maybe more importantly, what not to do. So I go to my boss's office, knock on the door. Mr. Giles, the costume looks beautiful, fits perfectly. What would you like me to do? He goes, big smile. David, I just want you to go have fun. If you're not having fun, the fanatic won't be funny. If the fanatic's not funny, it's not going to work in front of our fans. I go, brilliant. I go running out of his office. I'm a college student. I know how to have fun, and I'm getting paid to go to the games. Whee! I believe that the 40 years of success that the Fanatic has had drills all the way down to that first conversation. You must have fun. F stands for the force of fun. We're just like Jedi Knights. If we don't recognize it, we can't engage it, and that's the first step. U in the power of fun, the FUN of fun stands for universal. In other words, if you tap into the power of having fun, it will cross all borders, boundaries, circumstances, and labels. The universal quality fun reminded me how many places that the Fanatic worked where you never would have expected it. The Supreme Court justices' private chambers during dinner. They were fans. A General Electric Polymer Engineers Convention. Rocket scientists. They liked it too. A Japanese game show over in mainland Japan where no English was being spoken. A funeral for an 89-year-old Irishman. But my favorite was doing a Catholic church service at St. Charles de Borromeo in Cinnaminson, New Jersey, on the east coast of the United States. I just finished doing a father-son-daughter breakfast, and I was about to leave. Father Dever, the youth minister, comes charging into my dressing room and says, David, I don't want you to leave yet. I want you to get the Fanatic to sneak in behind us in the procession before church, and I want him to do something unexpected. Well, Father Dever, I'm not Catholic. I don't know the denomination of the Fanatic. And this is church. Should we really be doing this? He said, no, David, my homily, I'm doing the homily. My homily is about the unexpected curveballs that life can throw our way from time to time. And the Fanatic interrupting, it will set the tone. Okay, it's all right with Father Dever. I'm assuming it's all right with the Lord. Let's go do this thing. So 20 minutes later, there I am with the Fanatic doing the Jim Carrey sneak down an aisleway with 250 parishioners. And we're following behind Father Dever, the altar boys, the flowing robes, the smoke, the holy water, as Catholics do. And I'm passing the first few pews, and I suddenly hear the audible sucking in of air. Oh no, what's he doing here? The Fanatic, he shouldn't be here. We're going to get in trouble. But I'm in search of brilliant stupidity, so I'm committed. I'm still going down there. Father Dever turns around at the end of the altar, addresses the congregation like this, and being a good Fanatic, I lay a big kiss on his face, and I'm turning and I'm running. And I'm running because I think the torches, the picks, and the axes. Kill the monster! But I'm looking, the abject horror is changing to smiles. I'm getting a little further, laughter. And when I get to the end and I'm turning to run out of the chapel, they're standing and cheering, go Fanatic. And I turn around and I look, and there's Father Dever, smiling, laughing, and applauding. And the whole congregation is doing just what I did 20 minutes earlier. It's all right with Fanatic. It's all right with the Lord. Yeah, Fanatic, you rock! I entertained at a Catholic church service dressed like a Muppet. The universal quality of the FUN of fun tells us that it works everywhere. If it works at a funeral, where would it not work? N stands for no, the battle cry of the fun killers. Where are they? They're out there, I know. The Fanatic fun killers, Tommy Lasorda, so opposing managers, opposing players, certainly opposing fans, maybe a groundkeeper or two, but no one was worse than the ever-dreaded band director. Now, actually, the Fanatic had some success working with bands spontaneously before the Phillies games at Veterans Stadium, and we even won over a few band directors. And this became a fan favorite, and the word spread that the Fanatic was doing some funny things prior to the game started, so it spread to other teams. The Los Angeles Dodgers, just 2 years into the Fanatic's existence, called the Phillies, and I quote, "Please send the Fanatic to entertain our fans, just like he entertains yours fans in Philadelphia." I'm going to L.A. I can't wait. These are fans, new fans, never seen the Fanatic before. My old stuff will continue to work. I don't have to do anything new. The players are excited. I fly in a team plane. The Fanatic is jacked up. I actually dressed in the Phillies locker room at Chavez Ravine in Dodger Stadium. The players pretty much threw the Fanatic out to the top step of the dugout. Go get him, Fanatic. Boo! Oh, yeah, duh. My super suit dresses me as the Fanatic. I'm in enemy territory. Of course they'd be booing me. But I took it as a challenge. I tried to do everything that I could possibly do to win them over. The boos got even louder. And suddenly, right before your eyes, you see the fanatic slowly turn into Eeyore. And I'm going, oh no, I've got to get off. I go to the dugout because I need a reboot. And then I look and I see a band filing out to center field. Oh, this is great. I run out to this position. I start goofing around with the drum majorette. The boos stop, a little smattering of applause. They go, cool. I start moving towards the band. I feel a vice grip on the back of my arm. I turn to look at the red, snarling face of the band director, who had run all the way out on the field. He's grabbing me, he's saying, get off the field, you're ruining the show. And being a good fanatic, I ripped my arm from his grip and I started running away, and I was weaving in and out of the line of the band members. And he's chasing me, high-stepping. Get off the field, you're ruining the show. The boos have completely stopped. There's an amazing, wonderful sound going on. The band is not missing a note, a step, or a beat, but they're laughing. Look at our band director chasing that big, fat, green thing. They're having fun. Now, I went from this horrible sound of boos to this raucous sound of approval. I go, I can't get any better. I got to get out. So I start running to right field, where the band director came on. And I'm running over there, and I'm stopped, dead in my tracks. A horrific sight. 2 big LA police officers running right on the field, and they're running right at the fanatic, and they're motorcycle police. They got the leather chaps and the little helmets and the nasty chin straps, and they're coming right at me, and I go, they're going to throw me in an LA jail dressed like the fanatic. I'm never going to get out. Now, the band director has caught me because I've been distracted, and he is excited because he's got reinforcements, and he's going, come on, I got him, get him, come on, get him. And the police officer ran right past the fanatic, grabbed the band director, and dragged him right off the field. Now, the band has finished, doing a great job. They're marching off single file, standing ovation from the LA crowd, a standing ovation. The fanatic's happy because the crowd recognized a Muppet Show broke out in the middle of the routine, and they just kept going. So the fanatic's on his knees, bowing down, I am not worthy. The kids are happy, the fans are happy. I shed myself of the supersuit, and the bravado of the fanatic's personality melts away, and I go, oh my gosh. The band director got accosted. I got to go find him. I go find him, I introduce myself, and I start to apologize. He goes, David, don't apologize. I just saw my band get a standing ovation from the LA crowd. All that hard work, all that training, all the extra time, all the discipline, they did everything that they were trained to do, and it would not have happened without your help. Here's the thing about fun killers. They're good people. They want to have fun. They just don't want anybody to get hurt, okay? With this powerful fun, we can turn their no's into yeses just by bringing them in, letting them play with us, and having them recognize that we know how to make it appropriate. So there's the FUN of fun. Force is right at your fingertips. All you have to do is plug it in. And when you plug it in, it works everywhere. If it works at a funeral, where would it not work? And no, that turns fun killers into funsters. So you might be saying, all right, David, I get it. FUN of fun makes sense. I get that. But you know, what if I'm going through hell in my life? Is it really going to work for me to choose fun then? Well, you know, our brains are constantly being thwarted by some very sinister brain wiring. And it makes it very hard for us just to be happy and choose fun. And this little sucker's difficult to kick to the side, let me tell you, because he's always there, making it difficult for you. But think about this. As you sit here right now, 40% of your mood is due to your own intentional activities. You decide. 50% of the rest of your mood is this negative brain bias and some DNA wiring, what type of person you are. The smaller portion is generally the life circumstances you're dealing with. This is the really cool thing about this. If you get good at those intentional activities to decide to be happy for your 40%, you can overcome your DNA wiring and send that little negative brain bias packing. Imagine if happiness was a skill set that you could attain through practice. Life can be brutal, right? My mother, Sue, at the age of 59, was diagnosed with a grade 4 glioblastoma brain tumor. Exactly 8 months to the day of that diagnosis, I lost my mom. 3 weeks later, my marriage fell apart. I can't begin to tell you how unbelievably difficult that grief and sadness was. I had never experienced anything like that in my life before. I was in my home thinking, I may not survive this. I can't put one foot in front of the other, let alone do my job, which was to be a clown and to be the fanatic. But this is the fourth lesson, and the most powerful one that I want to share with you today. This power of distracting fun, it's just unbelievably amazing, and the most important one. The next day, I had a 2-hour appearance as the fanatic. I still don't remember how I got there, but I got there, and I put the costume on. And all of my grief and sadness went away, just like that. And when I took the costume off that day, I realized that's the best I had felt in over 8 months. You see, the fanatic's personality embedded in that beautiful green fur for me was the real power of distracting fun. The real-time application for you is when life is throwing you nasty curveballs, when you're dealing with the most difficult of circumstances, when you're going through hell, that is the time to choose fun, to distract yourself only for a few minutes. It will rewire your brain. It will refresh your perspective and make you remember what you're grateful for. And it will re-energize your spirit so that you can get back to it and deal with those challenges. Now, these intentional activities, they're varied. It's whatever you choose. A quiet walk, a moment to pause and reflect on what you're grateful for. Putting on some music that moves you and get your Elaine Bennis on and dance like no one's watching. These activities are not as important as the effort to choose fun during the worst times of your life. And imagine when you get good at that brain training, how much better they'll make your good times. Abraham Lincoln said, we're only as happy as we make up our minds to be. A lot of wisdom and validation from a gentleman that had a lot of nasty curveballs thrown his way in his life. Happiness is a skill set that you can attain through practice. You can learn to be happier. This is not a dream. And guess what? You already have a super suit with a superpower. Your super suit? It's you in the clothes that you wear every single day. And your superpower? That's easy. Just be the fanatic. Choose and use fun to make everyone around you feel better and to make you happier now. Not next week, not tomorrow, but today. Thank you.
How y'all doing? Everybody's good? Thanks for having me out. I'll tell you what, this is the craziest thing, because I was just telling somebody in the back, I'm used to entertaining 20,000 people all the time, and I was like, this is nothing. I'm nervous as hell right now. Like, they literally brought in a mime for 25 years to talk. This is new. But before I go, I want to say one thing, and I want to thank TEDx, and I want everybody to understand, like you guys don't understand the machine that is behind TEDx, and the people that are involved in this are freaking amazing. I'm saying that for them because I just want to say what you guys have done. You've been so fun to work with, and I love it. Okay. Oh, my timer's going. Is there any way we reset it? I was talking about you guys. Like, come on. You guys are killing me. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to give this a shot. I hope you guys are with me. I might screw this up because I did write it last night. I'm honest to God. I'm a mascot. I kind of shoot from the hip. But like I said, you guys, I was so fortunate, one, to be able to come from a farm up in East Grand Forks, Minnesota. I was so fortunate to have an amazing family and a childhood that literally trained me for my job. Everything from, climbing trees, climbing the house. I went to a school that, it was Sagittare High School up in East Grand Forks, Minnesota, and I told my family this the other night. I actually bumped into Simon Andrews. He's a son of the principal and one of the teachers there, and I told him straight up, God, if it wasn't for your parents, I would have been kicked out. I should have been kicked out 900 times. I got a quick story. I'm diverting. I've already got off on a tangent here. So I remember sitting there, and like our principal even said, I wasn't a mean kid. I was just so ADHD, it wasn't funny. And I remember sitting out in the hallway because we had another parent-teacher conference, and this is no lie. I heard my mother go, "What do you want me to do? Put him to sleep?" Woo! I was a great kid. Yeah. So I ended up in East Grand Forks, Minnesota, ended up down here to go to MSU. Who's a dragon? Any cobbers? I'd have stole your beanie. Yep, still don't understand why. I just know we'd go out, get drunk, and try and steal beanies. But went from the college, career, started coaching. Anybody go to American Gold Gymnastics? There you go. I coached with my wife over at American Gold Gymnastics for a number of years. That's where I ended up starting with the Fargo Fever. Fargo Fever was a CBA team that came to town, and that's where it all started. And believe it or not, I got fired. I got fired from the Fargo Fever because they said, I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to kill somebody in the crowd. And, it wasn't a big shock because, it wasn't hurting me too bad. It was $25 a night, just so you know. I'd go to a sports bar, spend it there. So it was pretty good. So started mascotting in the CBA. Loved it. Believe it or not, I was going to school to be an attorney. Screwed that up. Ended up a mascot. Still don't know how the hell that worked. But so I was sitting in school doing these mascot gigs, and I thought, you know what? I met the Phoenix Gorilla, and his name is Bob Wolf, and I think I can say that now because he's not in suit. He retired just a few years after I did. And I asked him, I said, wait a minute, you're doing this as a career? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, nothing else? And he's like, no. And I'm like, Jesus, sign me up. So I did an application to all the NBA teams. I got a tryout. And I'm going to roll through this because this clock is killing me. So I was sitting there and I was like, okay, so I get a tryout with Sacramento Kings, Seattle Supersonics, Utah Jazz. I go down, I do tryouts, I leave, and I was like, there's no way. There were national tryouts. All these people from ASU gymnasts to, performers that did it professionally, and I was just a young kid from East Grand Forks, Minnesota that didn't understand heights. So tryouts happened, and believe it or not, I got called back for a second tryout. Went down for second tryouts and left again, thinking there's no way I got it, because one of the guys that was trying out, his name was Eli Akins. Dude, he could jump out of the building. He would hit the tramp. He could literally grab the top of the backboard. I'm like, that guy got it. So this is the stupidest thing in the world. I get a call back from all three teams, and they're like, hey, we'd love to have you come out to our team. I didn't call anybody back. Nope, and I kid you not. And I remember to this day, didn't call anybody back because I was too afraid to take that step and step out of my comfort zone and do this career. The only reason I got this job is because Grant Harrison from the Utah Jazz, who was vice president of game operations, called me back and said, did you take a job with one of the other teams? And I said, nope. And he goes, well, what are you doing? And I said, I honest to God don't know, Grant. I go, I don't know what to do. He goes, well, come out for a year, and let's see if we can work together, and let's see what happens. And I said, okay. Got engaged, told my wife, or fiance at the time, stay here. I'll be back in a year. I go, there's no way this is going to work. There's just no way. Well, 30 years later, we're still in Utah. So that was how me getting the job worked. And honestly, I swear to you guys, it found me, doors opened, and thankfully, I stepped through those doors every time a door would open. And I'm blessed that way. Can we add more time? I'm down to 2 minutes. So, really quick, I'm going to rifle through this. The character was like, it became really successful, like uber successful, and I loved it. I had over 80 community and national awards. I was honored by 3 different governors for 3 different days in the state. I got 2 different keys to the cities. And I don't know how. you know? And I seriously was sitting there over this time, and I'm like, well, what the hell did I do? How did I get from A to B to be successful? And I sat there, and I was like, well, there's really no roadmap. And anytime you hear like these other speakers, I'm not talking about you guys, some other people, I'm just saying, they always go, look, this is what you do. And I was like, well, you know, I can't tell you guys how this worked. I can only explain how it worked for me, because the situations and the people that presented themselves in the right times and in the right moments is what worked for me. So really what I did is I just pulled out a few things, and I'm going to fly through this here. So one of them was, when I started, there was really only 3 main characters, and it was the Philly Fanatic, Phoenix Gorilla, San Diego Chicken. Everybody's heard of them, right? So I got there, and I was just like, okay, I need to emulate them, do what they're doing, because they know what they're doing. But then I quickly realized, this sucks. I'm dying on their sword. I seriously, when they failed, I failed, because I was copying what they were doing. When they had a success, it was great to have a success, but it wasn't my success. It was their success. It wasn't my idea. And I wasn't driving the bus, and that drove me crazy. So I finally was just like, okay. Went to my team and said, listen, I'm gonna do something that nobody's doing. I'm going a different direction. I'm forging my own path. And they looked at me like, what? they're like, we have 3 amazing mascots. You know, their careers are amazing. Just do what they're doing. And I said, nope. So that's where, as you saw in the video, I started stunts. And I said, nobody is doing stunts, so that's what I'm gonna do. And then that, it was great, except for, I'm not sure if you saw me run out on the stage and how hobbly I am. I trashed my body doing it, which I totally knew was going to happen. I remember joking in my cage all the time. We'd laugh after I'd hurt myself, because I had 13 surgeries, 25 torn ligament, tendons, and muscles. Swear to God, a banker box full of worker comp claims. Got kicked off of workers' comp, had to go on a special workers' comp. So it was crazy. But did that, and then the other thing that I did is I shared all my ideas. And my assistant would always say, why are you sharing your good ideas? And I'd be like, listen, if I don't share my ideas, and it's kind of like a litmus test, I'm going to throw it out there to all these other guys, and if I see them copy it, then I know it was good. The other thing is, I didn't want to get complacent. I didn't want to just sit here and look, I'm just going to do this and nobody's copying it and I'm good. I said, I wanted to push myself. This was the way to push myself. I'm here, look at this idea, look at this idea. And it all, like an example is, when I started, I was doing the ladder. It was a 12-foot ladder with signs. Then it transitioned after somebody copied it into a 25-foot ladder. Then it transitioned into a ladder with a handstand. Then it transitioned into a ladder with stilts. And I had 4-foot stilts and crawl up these stilts. And then I was like, well, damn it, I got to come up with something nobody's going to copy, because if I come up with something else, I'm going to die. So I turned it into the one-armed handstand that you saw on there, and nobody copied it to this day, so I'm happy I'm stuck with that one. I never had to go there. But after that, then I was thinking, okay, what else was it? And I said, okay, the other thing that it was I. And I said, I did not create the success of this character. I drove the bus a little bit, but the success literally came from everybody around me. I was a big clock, and there were so many cogs in this wheel that I couldn't say, I did this. I created the success. No, it was the other mascots. It was my bear crew. It was the management, everybody that helped me out, even the littlest bit, you know? It was there. People forget to thank the people around them that got them to their position. And it doesn't matter how small. Even a small thing to help you is a door that opens. I'm still flying, TEDx. Greg, am I okay? Can I keep talking? Am I done? Serious? It's a hard close? Okay, really quick, then I'll go right to the end. Really quick, because this is what I wanted to say. So the whole thing, my success was amazing. I can't explain how lucky and fortunate I was, but my biggest success was understanding my biggest failure. And my biggest failure was this right here as a career, and not realizing that it was a job and I need to walk away from it. My failure was my family. I was never home. My wife, my kids, and that, after I left, I realized that that was my success. That is what I needed to focus on. And I still kill myself because I would have much rather been a good mascot and a hell of a father and a successful father and husband.
If you're a mascot or just a big fan of mascots and have one in mind that you want me to review, make sure you send it to me. You can either DM me on my social media or send me an email. Now back to the video.
So I want to get the top 10 questions, and I've condensed this and given it to you in one-word answers. Number 1, is it hot in there? Yes. Number 2, so is this your real job? Or what's your real job? This. Number 3, can I have some tickets? No. Number 4, are you a furry? Depends upon who's asking. Number 5, how much money do you make? Lots. Is it hard not to talk? No. Do you sweat a lot? Yes. How do you see? Eyes. How do you pee? Penis. Are you a girl or a boy in there? Penis. If you take away one thing from today's talk, I hope that you're going to laugh a lot with some of the stories that I'm going to tell you, but if you take away one thing, I would like you to take away that vocational limitations and that your professional limits are really just self-imposed illusions. Whatever craft that you're in, whatever field of study that you have chosen, don't let anybody tell you that there's a limitation to where you can take it and that, these type of people that do this for a living only make that. When I started at the Rockets, within the first month, this is back in 1995, I actually came down here just shy of finishing my degree at the University of Delaware, finished my last 21 credits, 7 classes right here, go Cougs, at the U of H. So I'm very familiar with this campus 2 decades ago. And my first month on the job, I was extremely unhappy and discontent. I moved down from the University of Delaware to a state where I knew nobody. I had no friends, I had no family, and I came down here for $20,000 a year. Now, even back then, that was not a lot of money. Average marketing majors coming out of Delaware were making 30 to 35. I had a double major and a philosophy minor. And I'm coming down here, going to the big leagues, the NBA, and I'm thinking I'm going to, be paid well and make money, and I got paid $20,000. And in that first month, I had a boss that told me, and I'll never forget this. He said, if you want to make more than $40,000 a year, then you shouldn't be at this company. Because this company will never pay more than $40,000 a year for any mascot. I had a decision at that point. First thing I decided was to completely disregard what he said, not argue with him, but just make up in my mind that's simply not true. Next thing I had to decide was I had to create my own philosophy. If I have a boss telling me that, I had to be extremely self-resilient, and I had to be extremely efficient. I was not going to be given a script or told what to do or how to do it or how to go about making things happen. So I decided I'm not going to think of myself as a mascot. I'm not a mascot. I am an improv, interactive, physical comedian. I want to elevate what I'm doing in my own mind. I'm also a comedy sketch writer and a comedy actor, where I am doing 2-minute Saturday Night Live caliber sketches in front of 18,500 people. And if you want to know how it feels to 18,500 people, mid-court to back of stage feels like 5,000 miles when you bomb in front of that many people live, and you're the one that wrote it, directed it, rehearsed it, produced it, and then executed it. The other thing I needed to do was I didn't ever think of Rockets games as games. I thought of them as the show. We are in our seats when we go to a basketball game for almost 3 hours. The ball's in play for 48 minutes. It was my job to bridge the gap between 48 minutes and 3 hours for the show and to create a show with real value. The other thing I needed to do was throughout the last 22 years of my life is I had to have, some people will call this stubbornness. And I've been called that more than a few times by that lady right there, my wife. I like to think of it as persistence, perseverance, fortitude, commitment, dedication. I had to frame up what I was going to do on a daily basis so that I could be successful with myself without a lot of extra support or help or guidance. I came up with an acronym. It was called SMILES. The S stood for stuffed animal. The M, marketing. I was a marketing and branding tool, a logo extension. I was a walking, living, breathing billboard for that team so that every time somebody saw me at one of the 6,000 appearances that I did over the last 21 years, they saw me, they thought of the Rockets, and hopefully we were building lifelong fans with the kids and reinforcing our experience, and it was a good interaction so that they were more likely to buy tickets. The I stands for inspiration, inspire. Okay, that's where I was a cheerleader. We all know that home court advantage exists. It was my job to create that, mostly in the fourth quarter, so that hopefully when the game was on the line and everybody's cheering and we get them all on the same page, we win more games in Houston than we do on the road. The L, laughter. That's why I got into the business in the first place. I love to make people laugh. Most of the job is just improv and interacting and drawing people into your show. This isn't Broadway where your audience is here, I'm lit here, and it's be quiet and watch. It's 360, it's lit. I'm trying to draw you into the show and get you to be part of it. E in SMILES was educate. This is where we're trying to go out and share a message of the value of education with predominantly the elementary school kids around. They focused on what I always called delayed gratification, but used a more simpler term so that they'd focus on their education. And the last S in SMILES was stunts. Not only the physical ones that you saw some of here in bowl, but quirky P.T. Barnum-like stunts intended to get the focus of the city, free advertising with news coverage, and get people out to our games. So that's kind of what got me from point A to point B in a 21-year career. And what I'm happy to tell you is you can apply those same type of principles in your own career. Because that boss that told me I was only going to make $40,000, well, he left a year or two later. And I'm happy to tell you, and my wife's really happy to tell you, that for the last 10 plus years, I averaged $250,000 a year wearing a teddy bear costume. Shooting silly string, throwing cakes in people's face. But really what we were doing were those things that I just talked about. Now, things weren't always rainbows and shiny, and we're building towards a vision. I'm going to need a little help here. Can you bring this forward for me? And we have a little visual display here just to show you, because we're not going to just talk about some of the things that worked in my career, and then I'm going to ask you to stand back, sir. We're not just going to talk about all the things that worked in my career. That wouldn't be fun. This is a t-shirt gun. I'm sure you've seen them. This is the smallest t-shirt gun that you can possibly get. It's called a Micro Mini. Well, back in 1997, we had a t-shirt gun that had 2 full tanks, about 5 times the size of this, 6 feet long. It was so powerful, we were only allowed to shoot it to the upper level. We had to introduce dancers to the lower level to throw shirts out because those are the people that are paying the most money and they're not getting any t-shirts. Meanwhile, I'm shooting to the upper level. One of the dancers is looking this way, running this way, runs right into the back of me, knocks me down to my knees, sets the gun off, and I'm 20 feet from the huddle, where Rudy Tomjanovich is instructing our players. And Catino Mobley, who was one of our starting forward at the time, gets that. Now just imagine, that was a gun this size. Catino got it 10 times, sorry Ted, 10 times that size, right in the chest. Put him out of the game. I don't know what happened. I just know the gun got shot off. I can only see like this. I pop up. Of course, I have the stupid painted-on grin on the bear that's always there. We got 30 seconds left. Who wants another T-shirt? I get in the back. I'm taking off the head, and I'm dropping every curse word in the book. What the hell happened out there? You don't know, bro? My assistant, bro, you just shot Catino Mobley in the chest. He's out of the game. Not a second later, Catino comes hobbling around the side with the 2 trainers, muttering, effing bear. Watch where you shoot that thing, you effing bear. Guy didn't talk to me for 2 years until he got the story straight. that I didn't mean to shoot him. So into a good story. We had a challenge. I got a call from a school early in my career. They asked me to come out and do a school appearance. And I'm like, and it was very much of that, appearances. I looked at the games as shows, but anything outside of the Toyota Center or the Compact Center or the Summit, which it was back then, was simply show up 5 minutes beforehand, make people laugh, hugs, high five, hijinks, and hilarity to the Mascot 4 H's, and then get out of there. I show up at this school 5 minutes beforehand, and they're like, oh gosh, you're here, thank goodness. And I'm like, okay, which class do you want to see first? Think I'm going to pollinate around the school, going class to class? No. They had all kindergarten through fifth graders, all 650 of them, out of class, in the gym, seated, very organized, quiet, and waiting to see my hour-long presentation, which I had none. I'm a mute character. I don't speak. I'm about 23-year-old at that point, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I think we fumbled through it, and I whispered like trivia questions for an hour into the principal's ear, and we gave out T-shirts to got the kids that got the Rockets trivia questions right. But there was a challenge there. The way we answered that challenge, and part of what built into the success of Clutch as a brand, was we said, okay, we need a school show. So we developed an hour-long, interactive, what we called edutainment school show. The schools not only wanted to entertain their kids with, but also left a redeeming message, motivating and inspiring them to do well and to do as best as they could at school now. So we called it edutainment. We've done 1,800 of them now in front of 1.25 million kids at over 600 of the local 800 elementary schools. So there was a brilliant moment in our career where at first it started out as a oh shit moment. And it was terrible, but we turned it into something. Another bad moment. I ruined a Martin Luther King Jr. Day parade. It was one of the low points of my career and life. I was in tears over this. This is about 4 years ago. We're doing the MLK Day parade that we did every year right down in Midtown. We wanted to do a really good job this year. And my assistant, who'd been with me 16 years full-time, packed up Mylar streamers that day. They're metallic. When they're shot out of a cannon, they look much cooler. They give off a firework effect. They look shimmery, as opposed to paper streamers that are more matted and flat and less cool. And we wanted to give them the best. So I'm sitting on the hood of the Clutch van, and he's handing me T-shirts to throw out and air horns and cannons. And when we get in front of the grandstand, because we're saving the good ones for in front of the grandstand, there's a DJ and an MC and all the other people up there, the dignitaries that are announcing the news. That's where they shoot. We pull it out, and I shoot one off, and a couple seconds later, boom! And at first, I'm going to tell you right now, I thought that we were having a terrorist attack. My first thought was, oh shoot, there's some neo-Nazi racists that are, and I hear the helicopter, all of a sudden I hear the helicopter over top, which was always there, but I just didn't realize it. It was a newscopter covering the parade, but I'm thinking like, oh my gosh. And then about 2 seconds later, it sets in onto me, that can't be a coincidence. And I yell back, Dominic was his name, hey Dom, was that us? And he's like, I don't know, bro, I think so, I'm freaking out. Turns out, shot the cannon up in the air, they're metal. They blew into the power lines, hit the transformer, blew the transformer out, including 4 blocks of power, including the main stage. With the DJ, the band, everything goes silent. And there's Clutch with that painted on grin. Hey, T-shirt. Nobody stopped us. It was terrible. We apologized. We did get booked again the next year, oddly. He said, no Mylar streamers. Another great thing that started out as a challenge is one year we had to figure out a sponsorship package for a sponsor, and we had to do it really quick and deliver some real high value. The team came to me. We were already doing all these school shows. We were in front of kids. One thing we didn't have was something really cool to leave behind for the students after they just had this meaningful entertainment, interaction, and inspirational interaction. And a lot of these kids at these schools have never seen live entertainment in their entire life. So I said, okay, let me think about it for the weekend. We came up with the concept of doing storybooks and co-branding the storybooks. So not only that there would be a redeemable lesson for the student that taught them about the value of their education one year, another year it was cultural diversity, another year it was not being afraid to go to the doctor, healthy hygiene, hand washing. So different morals, but it was branded to the sponsor, creating a lot more value than just simply stamping a logo on a bobblehead and giving it out. Here, the story was actually about the sponsor. Turns out now, as of the time that I left the Rockets, we had done 540,000 free books distributed across the city. So over 500,000 books, 7 different versions, 7 different stories with 3 different sponsors that we got out. And they're in libraries at elementary schools across the city. And it's also, we created a piece of inventory, an asset that the Rockets actually use to sell to their sponsorships. And it's that is a very valuable 6-figure piece of inventory. So I got 2 more stories for you before I leave you. My father was diagnosed with IPF in 2011. It's a degenerative disease that is terminal, and there's no known cure for it. It's a scarring of the lungs. It's non-lifestyle related. He ended up being saved by a double lung transplant from a man named Ian Heidemann, a 22-year-old young man out of Dallas, Fort Worth. Ian signed up to be an organ donor when he was only 19 years old, and he self-designated himself. My dad's still with us today. He takes care of my 2 sets of twins and my 17-year-old whenever we need him to. My mom and dad are still together. While I was visiting my dad in the hospital, I stopped by Life's table, and I said, what is this all about? Your organ donation or transplantation or something, and I want to help. You know, this is what I do for a living. I can speak for you. I can fundraise for you. I'll do whatever. I'll give you money. And they said, well, are you an organ donor? And I said, oh, yes, absolutely. I remembered when I was 16 signing up to be a donor. And they said, can we see your license? I pulled out my license, and they were like, well, and in fact, it wasn't an organ donor. And I don't know why, for whatever reason, when I moved to Texas or when I renewed driver's license or something, I wasn't. And they said, no problem. The biggest problem and issue here is awareness. It's not that there's a ton of people making a conscious decision not to be, it's an issue. So I got involved with Life Gift, and that's where you saw one of the things that Clutch did to try to drive the awareness issue in the registry. I got involved when there was 2.9 million people on the registry. There's 26 million people in Texas. I'm happy to report today, after serving on their board and some of the Clutch promotions and a lot of work from a lot of other people, half of Texans on the registry now that are eligible. So millions upon millions of people have made that decision to say yes to saving lives. Running the Houston Half Marathon always made me question my sanity right around mile 10 when I'm in this big, sweaty bear costume. Retirement's been good to me, you can see. I was a lot trimmer and in better shape back then. The last screw-up story, and then I'm going to leave you to an amazing array of other speakers. My first year on the job, we had just won back-to-back championships. Every now and then, we got big-time A-list Hollywood celebrities. We get Jack Nicholson when we're playing the Lakers. I don't usually get told about this until an hour or two before the game, because quite frankly, that's when we find out they're last-minute things. I'm like, oh, I need to do a Jack Nicholson skit. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And there's a clip of it in that video. Well, what you don't see on the video is I come out wearing sunglasses, and they're playing Corey Hart sunglasses at night, and I'm walking by, and I see Jack Nicholson sitting there next to our owner, and I flip out, and I do the women's world, I'm not worthy thing, bowing down to him, and then I jump up, and because Clutch is a 92-inch waisted bear, I shake my rear in his face, and then I sit on his lap. Now, when I sit on someone's lap, I don't actually, I'm going to show you right here, I don't actually sit on their lap. I kind of just squat so that I'm not hurting them over them, and I act like it, and the big 92-inch waist bear looks like he's sitting on his lap. So, huge eruption of applause happens when I'm doing that. And I'm like, huh? Big laughter. I was like, this is funny, but it's not that funny. Huh. Oh, well, I jump up. I get down and I act like I'm kissing his feet, like I'm playing up to the big celebrity, the big VIP, and I go into the back. I'm like, hey, guys, with my assistants, when I take the head off, why did everyone laugh out there? And they all start snickering. They're like, you don't know? And I'm like, no, what do you mean? Well, apparently, while I was sitting on Jack's lap, and the camera's right there, he thought it would be funny to wrap his left arm around me, look at our owner, wink, grin, and then go, So it looks like Jack Nicholson gave it to me from behind, and then I jumped up, down, and kissed his feet and thanked him for it. That's what I've got for you guys today. No self-respecting mascot would go out any other way, so I'm going to go out with a bang. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day, folks.
All right, here we are. Whew. So, enough of that. I want to get started by answering some questions I used to get asked when I was the Coyote. First of all, yes, it was a full-time job. Yes, it was hot in there. It was very, very hot in there. And as far as being the Coyote, yes, it was awesome. You know, I feel like I had one of the best jobs imaginable. I had the opportunity to entertain others for a living. And entertaining others really just translates to making other people happy. And one of the first life lessons I learned from wearing fur for a living is making other people happy makes me happy. I remember a couple years ago, preseason game. Towards the end of the third quarter, I'm working the crowd, and I hear a girl, Tim! Look over. She's about 15 rows up in an aisle. She looks to be mentally disabled in some way, and she's yelling for Tim Duncan, who's sitting on the bench. And I know Tim is never going to look over to her and wave. He can't, right? If he did it for her, he'd have to do it for everybody. But she's yelling nonetheless. And then fans around her starting to get involved, right? Hey, Tim, look over here. So I see an opportunity for a moment. I make my way up there. I pick her up. Now I start waving like I'm trying to get Tim's attention. Then I get the crowd around us to yell Tim. 1, 2, 3, Tim! All I'm doing is creating a bigger moment. And once that's maximized, the entire corner is now involved in this. I take that girl, still holding her, make my way back through the crowd, get behind the basket. Third quarter ends. Tim Duncan stands up and walks out onto the court, and I beeline for him. Which, by the way, I'm not supposed to do. Not supposed to take a fan on the court. Definitely not to meet a player during a game, and definitely not Tim Duncan. But making this moment, it's worth the risk. So I go up to Tim, holding the girl, motion for a high five. She puts out her arms for a hug. Tim reaches down, he hugs her, messes with her for a little bit, and when he's done, I take a step back. I turn to that corner of the arena, and I thrust my fist in the air in victory. They erupt. They just got to come along with me as I made a little girl happy, but that in turn made them happy. And here's the trick to that. You don't need a coyote suit and a court to make somebody happy. You all can do it in your everyday lives. How? Simply by making a moment. I got to be pretty good at making moments by wearing fur for a living, but here's how you can do it too. Just think like I did when I was the coyote. Be present in the moment. Seize the opportunity when you see it and maximize the impact of that moment. Let me explain it like this. In my opinion, there's two ways to mascot. There's a mascot that takes a noise sign, he runs out, takes a couple laps, runs off. He has no idea whether the crowd ever reacted or not. Or there's a more authentic way to mascot. Take that noise sign out and hold it up to the crowd, and if they don't cheer, you let them know you expect better. You let them know you're listening to them. They matter to you. You're authentic in your relationship with them. I remember a game, pivotal moment. I want to say less than a minute left. Spurs are down by 3. I take a noise sign out to the crowd. Hit them with it, right? Nothing. Well, now I'm frustrated. Come on, a little bit harder. Let me hear you. Nothing. They've given up. They're sitting on their hands. One more time. Come on. Nothing. And in frustration, I take the noise sign, bust it, and throw it. Then they cheer. And I realize they're reacting to my authenticity, to the realization I'm listening, that they matter to me. And that is how I built a relationship with Spurs fans, through authenticity. But listen closely, this is really important. There's two ways to live your life, right? You can go through the motions, or you can choose to really, truly listen to others, to let them know they matter, and to be authentic with them. Ladies and gentlemen, those opportunities are what's important. And that is how, that is how you are able to have a tool. Making moments is a tool in which to make people happy. And remember what making other people happy does? Let's all say it together. 1, 2, 3, makes me happy, right? And who doesn't want to be happy? Well, maybe this guy right here. I don't know you. We'll talk after, okay? So that became my vision for the character, to purposefully and deliberately create impactful moments for fans through authenticity. That's right, I had no idea, ladies and gentlemen, what I was getting myself into, but once I learned how to do that, it was amazing. See, I decided I wanted to be what people talked about. I had a goal, 3 impactful moments a game, okay? 3 impactful moments. Make them remember it and make those people happy. Think back to your childhood. What do you remember? Moments, right? Our lives are formed by moments. And when you become good at making a moment for someone, sometimes, by the way, they can be bigger than you ever imagined. I used to go to the Children's Hospital of San Antonio a couple times a year. I'd visit terminally ill children. Then we'd go up to the ICU. So these are terminally ill children who are so sick that they have to stay in a little room. They can't leave it, barely bigger than the bed that they're laying on. You have to wash up, open and close the door to go visit them. And I'm visiting this girl. She's about 3 years old or so. She's got wires coming out of her IVs. I go up and I give her a sweet hug, say hi to the family, and I remember vividly. I'm backing out, saying bye, blowing kisses and waving, and in a frail little voice, she just says, bye-bye. And I wave bye, and I leave. And then I feel a hug around my waist. And I turn around, and it's the grandmother of that little girl that I just visited. And she looks up at me with tears streaming down her face. And she says, she just spoke the first words she said in 2 weeks because of you. Thank you. And I hugged that grandma. And she cried in my arms. And I cried in that costume. And there it was. A guy in a furry costume just changed a family's life. And if I can do that, if the character I become when I put that suit on can change, literally change lives. They may never have heard that girl's voice again. Then anyone can do it. How? Simply by making a moment. So what's this mean for all of you? Do we all go buy furry costumes and head out onto the street and aimlessly try to make people happy? You might need to, by the way. But no, that is weird. Exactly the opposite. I have a challenge for everyone here today. 1 person a week. Make a moment for 1 person a week. Because we've all been there, where we see somebody who needs somebody. The question is, will you choose to be that somebody? Will you choose to make a moment for someone? Will you choose to make somebody else happy? You have a decision to make today. You see, there's 2 ways you can finish this day. You can walk out those doors, get a drink, You can talk about how great the speakers were, which they were. You can go on with your life. Or you can walk out those doors and get 2 drinks and take one to somebody. Not like that, come on now. Sharing is caring. You can take those 2 drinks, Jack and Coke, by the way, thank you very much. Just saying. Take those 2 drinks, give one to somebody, and begin a real discussion as to how you are going to make a moment for somebody, how you're going to create an impactful moment through authenticity. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to passively listen today? Are you going to engage in what you've heard today? 1 person a week. Make them happy. Make them remember it. And make a moment. Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, you guys are important to me. I hope I'm important to you. Don't forget to check out my other social media and like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see next. And tell your dog I say hi. And I fuzzing love fan art. So, if you want to be in one of my videos, send me some fan art. Thanks so much for watching and see ya!
Mascot life was glorious fame. Now he's streaming all day long with fuzzballs in his fuzzy thong. Doesn't know how to use his PC. He struggles to keep things PG. Playing games like we don't give a damn. Grab your fuzzballs, don't touch my ham. He speaks 2 languages, neither well. Make sure you follow and hit